All right, traders, this video is going to show you how to determine if the stock market is about to continue to crash heading into tomorrow, or is it about to explode and are the bulls about to gain some control for the short term being? Let's get right into the price action analysis. So in terms of the SPY, 363, that key level, that was the level of true strength, meaning if 363 reacts as a resistance level, the bears are still in control for the micro price action, and that means they have true strength, and the SPY will be on track to fill the gap at 357.18. As you can see, 363 reacted as a resistance early into the morning for multiple 30-minute candles, forming lower highs right here into a sell-off to fill the gap. The gap was at 357.18. The low was 357.67. It partially filled the gap, then began to have a reversal. However, we are in a new battle. So in terms of the micro, what has occurred is 363 true strength reacted as a resistance, the gap partially filled. Now we are in a small little micro battle where the bulls attempted to push back up towards that 363 level, but they are starting to form lower highs. Now, with that being said, this is what you need to understand heading into tomorrow. For true strength, the bulls need to break above 363. If you see the SPY break above 363 tomorrow and that reacts as a strong support level, this will start to fly and we will start to run back to 366. If 366 breaks out and reacts as a support level, then it goes to 369.53. If that breaks out and reacts as a support level, then it fills the gap at 373.20, which is the best level possible for puts. And remember, if those levels that I just mentioned react as a resistance level, then it will go back down to the next level, right? So you take it one level at a time, and we're scalping basically for that one level in between. So in terms of bears now, for the bears to remain in control, this cannot go above 363. It cannot go above 363. If it breaks above 366 and that reacts to support, then it's game over. But in terms of for the bears to show true strength heading into tomorrow, they need to go under 360. That needs to react as a resistance. They need to close this gap at 357.18, and they need to crack 357. If 357 cracks, it's going to be a bloodbath to 353. That'll be the next level that it goes to. There's a gap to fill at 353. So what are my current thoughts? What are my current opinions in terms of the SPY price action analysis? Well, we nearly filled the gap, and it did try to have a reversal, but it is still trying to form those lower highs. Now, I have seen some people talking about a bullish rally that can potentially happen tomorrow, and I will be sold on that idea. If it stays above 360 and has a clean break above 363, I can definitely see some sort of bullish rally tomorrow if that were to occur. But in terms of bears for true strength, they need to keep it under 363. They need to quickly crack 360, and they need to take out 357. Just keep in mind, we did see a bounce off of 357, which is a bullish attempt, and it is still hanging in there. It is trading in a lower zone, but they are attempting to partially fill this gap. It is trying to have a reversal, and it's just a matter of time. Like, if the bears cannot crack through this 357, it is just a matter of time before we break through 363, and that's when you will start to see that explosion. And for the bulls to take full control to fill this gap, you need to see a break above 366, and that needs to react as a support level. I can definitely see some sort of small micro pullback for a quick scalp at 366. If it rejects 369.50 as well, just very quick in and out scalps. But overall, you just need to understand the SPY can fly if this breaks above 363, turns that into support. But for a true bullish flip to start to fill this gap, you need to see a break above 366 and react to support. So those are the key levels. Those are the things that I want to mention. So, just to quickly recap once again, very simple. 363 reacted as a resistance, multiple 30-minute candles. Therefore, the gap filled. The gap partially filled. The SPY is trying to have a partial gap close reversal, but it is still forming lower highs. This is truly make it or break it. You just need to understand in terms of true make it or break it, we are at a micro oversold point, right? So if the bears can't take this out quick, the SPY will fucking fly, especially if it breaks above 363. So there's more pressure on the bears right now to take this out, because the SPY can't just keep sitting at this micro oversold level with big upside potential with a gap to fill above. That's what you need to understand. The bears, as they become lower and lower on these levels, lower and lower in the channel, they need to continue to show true strength. Like, for example, 363, this reacts as a resistance. That's true strength. The new level for true strength is becoming lower. It's basically at 360 now. That's your new level of true strength for the bears. They need to quickly go under that, and they need to take out 357. If they can't fucking do it, the SPY will fly. Clean break above 363 sends it to 366. Those are my thoughts. Those are my overall analysis. Those are the things that I want to bring awareness to. And like I said, if 357 does crack and react as a resistance level, we will see 353 for the micro, right? Just understand we are in a bear market, and what is printing is when the SPY is ripping back towards key resistance levels, turning previous support into resistance. And that can occur at 366. The true best level would be that 373. Now, in terms of stocks that I want to bring awareness to, key levels for call options. So like I said, for Tesla, a micro scalp on calls, there's a gap to fill at 213.10. I'm going to be interested in dip buying Tesla calls if we see a bullish bounce, a bullish confirmation at that 213.10 level. It's very heavy micro support. We can easily see a rip off of that. I'm also liking the confirmation that we're getting on the daily chart. It's trying to have a trend reversal candlestick right here. Same thing with the SPY in terms of the daily candle on the SPY. Look at this candlestick right here. Look at this candlestick right here. Look at this candlestick right here. When it forms this candlestick, a key support, it does tend, I'm not saying right away, but it does tend to have a micro bounce. It really does, tend to have the micro bounce. I mean, you can see it formed it right here and it sold off the next day, but overall it started to have a micro recovery. So just be aware of that pattern, right? In terms of the last time that it formed this pattern, it did close weak at lows and did get crushed. So that's another thing that I want you to be aware of in terms of pattern recognition for tomorrow as well. You see the pattern clearly. But just remember, man, that break above 363 can send SPY flying. In terms of Amazon, I'm waiting for the gap to fill below. We have this gap to fill below right here at $110.63. If it reacts bullish there, I'll look to scalp calls. One of my favorite plays is going to be on NVIDIA. Take a look at NVIDIA here. This was a phenomenal play for those of you who watched my top 3 option plays video yesterday. This was a phenomenal play where you could have easily made back the cost of Trader Society. There was a gap to fill on NVIDIA at 115.93. Key support level, big upside micro potential, right? So like I said, if you see that 115.93 react as a support level, you're going to want to start to buy calls. And as you can see, it did try to form some support here, but it ended up cracking. But then it tried to form support again, ended up cracking. But eventually, it did skyrocket from that 116 level, getting to 118. So I'm just going to continue to keep an eye on that 115, 114 range on NVIDIA. I'm going to keep a close eye on it. We do have 2 gaps. We do have a gap that's waiting to fill above as well. So I'm just keeping an eye on those in a sense. But those are the main things that I want to mention. In terms of my trading today, overall, it was good. My portfolio was up 2% on the day. In terms of like some of the trades, it was mainly focused on put options at previous support, turning into resistance. I clearly mentioned at like 10:30, 11 a.m., this is an overall bearish trend. When you see it spike back to previous support, you're going to want to buy puts off the rejection. I mentioned that clearly in the chat at 11 a.m. And as you could see, this was a phenomenal opportunity to take advantage of that. This is your support right here. And as you could see at 11:53 a.m., like an hour after I mentioned that, previous support reacts as a resistance, scalp puts. Previous support reacts as a resistance, scalp puts. Previous support, previous support, previous support, previous support reacts as a resistance, scalp puts, scalp puts, scalp puts, scalp puts, right? When you're seeing this bearish trend, and we were well aware that if 363, the previous closing price, reacts as a resistance level, the SPY will get crushed if that were to occur. As you can see right here, the SPY gapped up, it filled the gap, it had a little reversal, bottoming at the previous closing price, but it was forming lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. So when you see it crack that, form lower highs, play puts. When it retests previous closing price, and forms this bearish double top with this bearish pin, this bearish candlestick, you're going to want to play puts. When you see the lower highs forming below that previous support, at that previous support right here forming resistance, you're going to want to scalp puts. These are all phenomenal scalping put opportunities when you see that green to red move on the SPY. So always remember that key make or break level is always going to be that previous closing price. A lot of special scalping opportunities occur at that previous closing price with same day expirations where you can make a very quick 20, 30, 40, 50% return fairly quickly within a matter of minutes to 15, 20 minutes on same day expirations. So always be aware, SPY just gapped up, it filled the gap, it's having a little partial gap close reversal. If you see it crack and then it has a nice crash and rips right back up to that previous closing price and then reacts as a resistance, starts to drop, right? And you see that previous support right here is reacting as a resistance, reacting as a double top, you're going to want to scalp puts. And I played puts into that and added accordingly. Not all my entries were perfect today. I took some premature entries on certain trades, but it only ripped against me for a couple of minutes. I added into the rips and it worked out absolutely phenomenally. So those are some things that I want to bring awareness to in the SPY, and always keep that previous closing price strategy as your bread and butter. Keep that in your back pocket because that is a true make it or break it level. So, like I said, for the bears to show true strength, they need to turn 360 into resistance, and it needs to break down, and then it would go to 357. And just keep in mind, we already bounced off of 357, and we had a very strong bounce off of 357.67, a very strong bounce. So be aware, in terms of call options and scalping call options, be aware of that 357 gap tomorrow. And if this were to crack 357, I could see a bloodbath to 353, and I personally think for the micro, if we drop to 353, that would be a gift for calls. But pay attention to that 357 level, because the SPY basically ripped 5 points almost off of that level very fucking quickly. So if we drop that low, that could be a great opportunity for scalping calls. Remember, use confirmations. Ask yourself, is this reacting as a floor? Is this reacting as a support level? Are we seeing bullish wicks? Are we seeing bullish candlesticks? Does this look bullish? Is it forming a floor? If so, then scalp the calls as close as possible to your initial entry on red candles. Wait for the confirmation, the bullish confirmation, then buy the calls when it drops on the red candles. So you get that best entry of that retest, right? Don't be buying calls into green candles, buy the calls into the red candles. And then same thing for puts. Ask yourself, are these resistance levels, are these previous support levels reacting as a resistance level? Is it forming a double top, right? And if so, and you get the bearish confirmation it's forming that roof, then you're going to want to scalp puts into the green candle, into the retest, right? So like, for example, what does that look like? This is an example right here. SPY has a big sell-off. Once it cracks the previous closing price, 363, all the way down to 361, that's an overreaction. So if you see it quickly have an overreaction to the upside, play puts on the retest. So right here, bearish reaction, it goes green to red, it drops. When it spikes back up, play puts when this candlestick is fucking green. Play puts on the green retest on the double top. This candlestick was green at one moment. Don't wait for it to go red. Get the best entry, right? The confirmation was right here because it dropped. It went green to red. So always remember that. These small little tweaks will get you the best entries. And at the end of the day, if you get the best entry with trading options, the percentage returns are going to be absolutely insane on these same day expirations. You'll be at prices filled so unreal where it's like, you'll be getting filled where everyone else is getting stopped out with just these simple tweaks that you can do to your trading. So those are all the things that I want to bring awareness into tomorrow. Just to quickly recap the scale that we're looking at. The scale right now, just to show you real quick, this is the scale, right? So if we go to the 10-day, 30-minute, for the bears to show true strength, they need to stay under 360. If 360 reacts as a resistance level, we go to 357. For the bulls to show strength, 357 needs to hold. If it turns into resistance, then it cracks to 353. We should definitely see a bounce to 353, but pay attention to the 357 bounce zone as well for calls. I would not be playing puts that fucking low in terms of micro scalping. Now, in terms of awareness, upside potential levels, break above 363, we go super bullish to 366. We could see a little micro pullback at 366. If it breaks above 366, then we go to 369.50. If it breaks above 369.50, then we go to 370.320 to fill the gap, right? So just be aware of all these things because I see a lot of people talking about just a micro push We're due for some sort of little micro bounce. So just be aware of that. But in terms of like overall trend direction, like long term, this is super bearish, man. In terms of like the SPY and Bitcoin, everything for the long term perspective, we are far from the bottom. In 2023, I can personally see SPY dropping to 280, and I could see Bitcoin going under $10,000. I can genuinely see that happening by the end of 2023. So in terms of macro, I still think we're super bearish. There's going to be plenty of great swing trading opportunities as well that are going to come along on these, nice little micro spikes that we get, these nice little quick micro spikes that we get. Gifts to be swing trading puts towards key resistance, like 373.20 bearish confirmation would be an absolute gift to swing trade puts. So be aware of the battle zone, man. Don't get caught up in micro puts. Be aware of what can occur at 357. If it holds, we can start to see, that potential gap fill play, because we do have a gap to fill at 373.20. If it just cracks through and reacts to resistance, then we go to 353. That's where we could see some sort of bounce. There's also gaps to fill below at 353 and 350. That's my thoughts. That's my analysis. That should help you prepare you to trade the best setups at the best prices. And yeah, I'm gonna leave it off at that. If you guys do want to be a part of Trader Society, where you get to trade live with me every single day, that is going to be the first link down below in the description. So when you do sign up for Trader Society, you get instant lifetime access, and you get access to the live trading streams. You get to trade live with me every single day. Voice channel. You also get access to the video lesson library. Within the video lesson library, you get to learn risk management, position sizing, mindset training, psychology, all of the unique trading strategies that I've created, along with the gap trading strategies, where you can master options both ways, calls and puts. You can also master small cap stocks. So if you want to learn how to trade a unique price action trading strategy, using trend reversals, history repeating itself, using trends. There's so much to it. It's going to be the first link down below in the description. You also get access to direct messaging with not only me within the chat room, but within the members within the chat room. We have plenty of traders within Trader Society who are consistently trading with over 6 figures, making multiple 5 figures on the month. I'm going to leave it off at that. If you want to surround yourself with the right community, and if you want to become a self-sufficient trader, this would be the best place for you. It's going to be the first link down below in the description. I will see you guys tomorrow live towards market open.